This is John Black, Superchemist. We're on part 4, relativistic energy and mass. I wasn't even going to do a part 4, right? I'll tell you, I'll get on that later. But part 3, I jammed in. This part about this was actually like 5 minutes longer, but I jammed it down so that it could fit into the video, you know what I mean? So I didn't have to make a whole new video with 5 minutes on it. But my whole point was just that you know, if this ball's going at 0.99 C and the force carriers are going at 1 C, it's going to feel like a feather hitting this ball. You'll never, you know what I mean? And then when let's say it got up to 1 C, how could the force carrier, the thing that accelerates the ball, how can it catch up to the ball to actually accelerate it further? Okay, like I said, I really cut that down the last 5 minutes talking about that. I said a lot more, and now I can't even remember, and I don't even want to get into it. But let's get into why I am doing this part 4. Is because I was watching 60 Minutes or 60 Symbols or something, some physics thing. They were talking about how they have no clue. Why do we take mass and multiply it by C? It's just, like over here we do, mass times C over here. 1 C. What's the deal? They're so confused. Okay, these people are total morons. Okay, like I said, this is a lie. Okay, this is a momentum. What you need to do is put a big P in there to have relativistic momentum. Then the formula is correct. Okay, but I want you to see what these, because I said in previous videos in this series that these C's are totally conversion factors. Okay, because I was going to do another video series talking about it, but now I have to include this in because I don't want people to get confused. All right, look, if I take that P and I make it into what it really stands for, which is gamma mass velocity, I can change this formula into this, right? The gamma mass is the relativistic mass. The gamma mass velocity is the relativistic momentum. This is the relativistic energy. This whole thing, this is not relativistic energy. This is kinetic energy, not relativistic energy. I don't know why, because they're woke and they're idiots. That's why. But if I take this, I move it down here, I move this down here, and I put them into MCC equals this, okay? That's not the actual correct formula. I mean, it is the correct formula, okay? But if you want to understand the formula, what you need to do is understand this is the actual formula, okay? This should be a B. This C, this first C here isn't a C. It doesn't represent C. It represents velocity, okay? It does not. See, all the blue stuff on this, right? They're conversion factors purely to get the mass to energy units, okay? This C right here that's really velocity, right? It's not converting units. I mean, it is converting units, okay? But it's doing something else. It's not. This is not a C. You need to realize this is a V, okay? See, everything moves at the same speed, the speed of light, okay, relative to space-time, right? Unless you've got rest energy, okay? If you don't got no rest energy, the universe wants you to move at the speed of light, okay, relative to space-time, okay? Now, if you ain't doing that, you have to have energy to stop you from going velocity, stop you to going from that speed. And what is that velocity? It's the speed of light that they want to stop you from doing, right? So take out the M out of there. It's velocity times C. Velocity times C. But when you're standing still, this is always C, right? Because you're always comparing it to, this is always C, right? This is always C, right? This up and down line, your y-axis, it's velocity, okay? It is not C, okay? Why is it always C when we figure out standing still? Because we're stopping it from going how fast? We're stopping it from going how fast? The speed of C. So that's what our velocity is always going to be, because we're always talking, when we're talking about standing still mass, we're talking about the energy or the mass needed to stop you from moving 186,000 miles per second. Okay? So this is not C. It is velocity. Okay? So it doesn't just change the units or whatever. They're like, I don't understand. Why isn't it the speed of sound? Why isn't it because they're not, because rest energy doesn't stop you from moving at the speed of sound. It stops you from moving at the speed of C, you morons. Why can't you see that? Anyways, so, and semantically, okay, I want you to understand, semantically, this is rest mass, gamma mass is relativistic mass, okay? I'm not, from now on, I'm not talking semantically. I'm talking the way you should think about it, okay? All right? This square represents your mass, okay? No, it does not. That's a lie. It's a lie. False, false, false. I want you to see, if we didn't have woke physics, this square would represent your mass, okay? Is what I'm saying. It should be called standing still mass, okay? Then this square right here, right? You start moving. You give an object so much. See that potential energy that you're figuring out for the rest energy? You're not figuring out. I mean, you are. You're figuring out both, but you're not figuring out potential energy. This says, even though you think this is potential energy, this is actually kinetic energy. Okay, it's the kinetic energy that you put into the ball that you need to overcome, right? Because he's got so much potential energy to stay still. You have to add that same exact energy in kinetic energy, right? To get it to freaking move. So this is really kinetic energy plus kinetic energy. But it's different kinetic energies. One's trying to overcome your potential energy, and one is just adding to the system without being canceled out by the potential energy. Okay? But you see what I'm saying? These squares, mass times velocity times gamma, those are actually what you should be calling rest mass and relativistic mass. You should not be calling this M thing, whatever. So you can see, it's just a ratio. It's a ratio. The mass is the ratio of the velocity that you're going relative to C. You know what I mean? And then you multiply whatever to find out how much energy that is. You know? But the whole point is the C, right? The x-axis never changes. It's always C when you do your square, right? When you multiply your velocity times C, it's always the same. It's always C on the x-axis. The y-axis changes in every instance, even for standing still. Okay? No, it doesn't change. It's always C. But I'm just saying, this is a velocity. It's not a conversion factor. Okay? It's seeing how much actual mass you have. All right? But we don't call this mass because we're woke. Okay? I don't know what to call this square. I would call it mass, though, but you would be wrong. You know what I mean? You would confuse everyone, so don't do that. But visually, when you think of it, think of this MV and this gamma MV. That is actually your mass. Okay? And then you multiply by C and square it so that you can convert it into joules and figure out your equation. Okay? But this first C, this is not C, it's velocity. It's the velocity that you wanted to go, but you ain't going now, right? Compared to C. And you have to have this much energy to stop it. Okay? But when you're moving, once you overcome that and you start adding kinetic energy so that you get this blue blocks, right? You add more and more and more. Once it starts getting more and more, the gamma gets more and more until you can never have this y-axis be C, because the gamma would be infinity. So you'll never get that. You know what I mean? But that's why this second letter, it is not a. I mean, it is a conversion factor, but it's not just that. Okay? It is not. It's velocity. Okay? So that you can compare your velocity to the speed of light to see what the energy would be, right? And to stand still, there's no gamma because you're just standing still. You just need so much energy. So remember, semantically, I'm wrong here. I just want you to, this is just to give you an idea how what you should visualize when it comes to these conversion factors. They're not just conversion factors, okay? They're there for a reason, and this is not C, it's velocity. The only reason we put C in there is because it's always, when you're talking about standing still, you're talking about stopping you from going how fast? How fast? The speed of C. Yeah. So we always put it in there. So relativistic mass and energy, they're not a magic, you know what I mean? This idea that people don't know, if I throw a stone at your face and at 100 miles an hour and you run away at 99 miles per hour, that it's going to hurt less. The energy that the ball contacts you, it's not because the ball changed its energy. You changed its energy. If you run towards me, it's going to hurt more. The ball's going to have energy, more energy. But it isn't the ball. The ball's going to have more relativistic energy. It's not that the ball has more energy. It's you added your energy to the ball, and that's what relativistic energy is. Okay, it's what is the energy of the ball if it hits you in the face? That's relativistic energy. Okay, the energy of the ball doesn't change. It's just your frame going towards it or going away from it changes how much it's going to hurt you if it hits you. And that's what relativistic energy is how much is it going to hurt you when it hits you. It's not how much what the energy the ball has, right? It's how much energy the ball has if it hits you in the face, okay? That's why it's relativistic energy. Relativistic, get it? Relative. Because it depends on how much energy you're adding to the system or taking away. Adding to the system by going towards the ball or taking away from the system by going away from the ball. Also, my videos called, rockets accelerating at 9.8 meters per second, time dilate different than on Earth where you're accelerated at 9.8 meters per second. I'm very close to finding out time dilation. I'm very close. If you watch the whole series, you will see. Yeah, it all makes sense. Because if you watch a bunch of woke podcasters, they don't make no sense at all. None. And I'm having a video coming up here called Does Acceleration Create a Gravity Field? Believe it or not, these woke people, they actually believe that if you accelerate, you create a gravity field that goes across the entire universe and infects everybody. This is insane. Okay, that's literally insane.